Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are going to let folks gather and join. Another exciting Mealworms and More coming at you. This is going to be recorded, so if you see this later, please feel free to comment, reach out, questions, concerns, anything. We are here to help. We're just getting started. Sue, yes, that chat is still a go. I'm going to do my best to go back and forth between the chat and the comments on the actual live. I would suggest maybe we use that chat for anything that either gets missed or I don't go over well enough, maybe. Because I remember last time we lost some comments and questions in the actual comments. I couldn't actually see them. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, the chat over there is still open and accessible. We will get started about 2:03, 2:04, or 3 or 4 after the hour, depending on where you're at. I'm in Central Missouri. Missouri in the news a lot lately. Not for good stuff, but it is what it is. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Or Mealworms are us. Welcome. Ooh, who's got the map as their... Oh, sorry, I covered the camera up there. Who's got the map? That looks really cool. Oh, come on. Well, let me click on it. Is that Yasik? Is that how you say that? Yasik? I'm taking a guess there. I had a coworker named Yasik, but he spelled it different. Jacek. So I might not be pronouncing that correctly. Getting some people in. We'll get started here in just a moment. Hey, Fred, welcome. We are doing this as a Facebook classroom session. So if anybody wants to jump live and be on camera and chat back and forth, please let me know in the comments, and I'll bring you on up. And we are mobile today, so I can get up and go anywhere. If you guys have questions about stuff like this contraption behind me, we're in the office right now, but if you have any questions about that, any questions about the farm, I actually turned off all of the fans and everything in the insect room except for the air conditioner, just so things aren't moving around in there. My allergies have been going crazy because of the exposure to all the frass and the chitin and whatnot. So I need to try to be a little bit more careful with that. If you guys have any questions about mealworms, raising mealworms, issues you're having with your colony, questions about running a small insect farm, business questions, don't be bashful. If you have something very specific, like you want to know how much money I make, you're free to ask that. I may not answer every question, just depending on what they are, but happy to help. I'm an open book. Be as open as I can. How much electricity it costs to control room temperature? Beautiful question. So I can't answer it yet. We just moved into this new building about a month and a half ago. And because of the way that the electricity is being billed, I haven't gotten the first full electric bill yet. So I don't yet know. It's about an 1,100 square foot room, and it is about 9 feet tall. So I'm really curious to see what it is. We actually had a couple weeks of really hot weather in Central Missouri, so I should have a pretty good idea once I get the usage. I'll share that for sure on my page, Midwest Mealworms LLC, my Facebook page, and then I'm happy to share it here as well. but I don't yet know. And in the old building was actually on the same electric box as my personal residence. And so I didn't have a breakdown of what was the electric use of the insects versus just our home use. So unfortunately, I don't have that data yet. But with this new building, I have a dedicated meter, and I'll be able to tell you exactly what that is. But right now we've got, I insulated heavily. So the electricity cost is going to be very dependent on, one, your weather, obviously, and two, the insulation that you utilize. And so like above me here, you can see that's pink foam rigid board. And so I used that for the ceilings in the insect room. I used a 1-inch board, and then I put blown in insulation on top of it, up to, I think we got it 15 inches thick. So it's very well insulated. And we've got, oh, looks like I might have frozen up a little bit. Can you guys still hear me? I wonder if the, computer I'm on is also messed up. Anyway, it's recorded, so we can go back and see it as well. So the walls are 2x4 insulated, and then I've got 2-inch rigid foam on the walls. So I'm heavily insulated and ready for the hot and the cold temperatures that we'll get here in Missouri. Let's see. The Beatles I got from you a few weeks ago, doing great. Thank you. Awesome. Great to hear, Karen. Excited to get some more posts from you in the group, hopefully. Mealworms are us. When deep freezing your wheat bran, how long do you leave it in the freezer? 48 hours, no less. So if I put it in on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm not going to use it till Thursday afternoon at the earliest. Mites drive me insane when they happen. And so deep freezing it, and it's got to be a deep freeze. Putting it in a regular freezer doesn't get cold enough. So I do it for at least 48 hours. I bought a bigger deep freeze. Let's go out and take a look at that real quick, just so I can show you guys kind of what I'm doing here. Let me turn this around as well. Should be able to. Ta-da. Ta-da. Oh shoot, where'd it go, guys? You're just looking at me, which, I mean, I enjoy that, but not everybody wants to see that, right? We want to see. There we go. So this is the deep freeze. Fancy Whirlpool. It was on sale at Menards, and I can fit 4 bags in here. So I'll put them 4 deep, 50-pound bags, and I'll leave it in there for at least 48 hours. Those guys have been in there for, let's see, today is Wednesday. They've been in there since Monday afternoon. So this afternoon they can come out. I don't absolutely need them, so I honestly could leave them in there, and then we just pull them out as we need to use them. So easy peasy, really. And if you want to do, like smaller quantities in a deep freezer, totally fine. No issue with doing smaller quantities as well. Deep freeze meaning what temperature? That thing is less than 0 degrees. My previous deep freeze was 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that would be perfectly fine from a temperature perspective, anything less than 0. Keith, thank you for the update on being able to hear me. Well, welcome all the folks that jumped in after we started. We're just chatting about mealworms and more right now. So any questions you've got about mealworms, any questions you've got about small business, whatever is on your mind, insect-wise, let's chat about it. You are very welcome. Da-da-da. All right, there's a bunch of options here that, we could create a poll the audience. Interesting. All right. I'm going to put my regular computer to sleep, and hopefully that frees up some bandwidth for the audio and video of the live here. Da-da-da. And a quick update again. If anybody asks a question and doesn't see a response from me, that means I didn't see it. We've had some issues with the Facebook lives where some comments and questions actually don't even get posted. So if there's anything that I've missed, please feel free to ping me and ask again. Or if anyone from the group chat can put that in there, that would be helpful as well. Looks like I can get to that from my phone here too. So without messing up the live, that'll work well. I know deep freezes have no mites in summer, worse in winter when they can happen as I keep them in wardrobe. That's interesting. You have no mites in summer, but you do in the winter. That's interesting. Why would that be? Different species? I think around here, oh, confined space. Gotcha, thank you. I think, I'm trying to remember, I want to say most of the outbreaks I've had were in summer. Oh man, I've only had about 4 or 5, but they are very distinct and memorable. I think they were all in summer. Yeah, no ventilation. Yeah, the lack of ventilation is a pretty big issue. It causes a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture buildup, and you also are going to have some impact on the insects from a fresh oxygen perspective. Excuse me, if you're not changing that air out or you don't have good ventilation, you could have oxygen deprivation as well, both for the insects and yourself, honestly. So I remember when I first started, I was like, seal everything, seal it, seal it, seal it. And really what that's going to do is just cause your air to be stagnant, keep the moisture building up, etc. You want to have air exchanges. It seems counterintuitive, but for the folks that have raised chickens before, same thing, right? You want to have good air ventilation in there. It seems counterintuitive, but it's actually beneficial. Best way to keep different batches in different places, but on a small breeder. That works. If you can keep them in different places and those places have the appropriate humidity and temperature for them, that could be fantastic. Online from BC. British Columbia, I think? I see a question up here from Fred. Let me tackle that one. How many employees does it take to keep up with your expansion? Right now, I am at 2 part-time employees. One works about, I'm trying to think, 10 to 15 hours on average a week. And then the second one works 15 hours average a week. And then me, and I'm full-time. So you're looking at two full-time employees, I would guess. This week, actually, Ben and Leo, the other folks on my team, they are both out. So it's just me this week, which has been pretty exhausting. I was not thinking about that when I made this schedule, because I actually need this hour. Right after this, I'm going to jump in the farm and start sifting frass. I'm starting to get behind. So definitely at least 1.5 people. Like, as I think about it, from the amount of hours I'm putting in, 1.5 people is probably enough. Karen, I tried the water crystals. I had an invasion of fruit flies. Am I using too much, maybe? Interesting. Do you, let me think about that. You want to make sure, like with those water gel crystals, it's the same sort of regimen as standard moisture sources like potatoes, carrots, etc. You only want to add them once your current moisture source is gone, or completely dry. And if you're not sure, just remove it and then put in fresh moisture. But if those water gel crystals aren't gone and you're adding more, that's probably not a good thing. The other thing I'm curious about is, do they look like they're gone, but they're actually settling down into the substrate or the frass? Have they gotten down into the bottom potentially, and they're just kind of sitting there? I would lean towards using too much, Karen, but I would check and see, like when you go to add it, and it varies by bin, right? So it's one of those things where you got to look at your moisture sources, look at the bin, and see how it's eating through what you've added, and if everything's gone or dry, toss in some more. If it's not, they're just not eating it as fast, leave them be, and come back and check them at a different time. Is the wheat bran you use for animals or human? Technically, I think it's for animals. It's feed, yeah. So it's I don't think it's food grade wheat bran. Let me go check though. We got it out here, Paul. Karen, yes. Here, let's turn around here and take a look. Haha, I found the button faster this time. Turn that around so you can actually read it. Soft wheat bran coming out of Illinois. But I think It just says soft wheat bran. I don't believe that this is food grade. Coarse wheat bran. Yeah, I can text my guy and find out. I doubt that it is food grade though. I'll text him after we're done here. I don't want to mess the live up. Oh, the air conditioner turned on. Actually, I'll show you guys this real quick. I've got a little cooling chamber back here. It's got some harvested mealworms in it. So these are large mealworms, and they are hanging out in this cold room. So I've got one wall there, and then the other one, which is open, it's fed by the air conditioner, which is over here. You can't see the tube back there, but there's a tube connected to that which shoots most of the cooled air into the mealworm cooling area. So I opened it up so that I could get some wheat bran in there, put some water gel crystals in, let them eat and drink, and then I'll be closing them back up and letting them get back to being cool. So just a little experiment I'm running to try and keep things fresh from a mealworm perspective. Slow down pupation. That's the main goal with the cooling area, is to slow that down. That way we don't have to try to time harvest like over the weekend, right? So I can harvest them today, today's Thursday, and then I can keep them nice and cool. And then on Sunday, well, it'll be Monday because of shipping next week and until Tuesday. So Monday I'll come out in the afternoon, throw in some fresh wheat bran, take them out of the cold, put in some wheat bran and some water gel crystals, and then let them eat that overnight before they ship out the next day. Fred, is there a chance you could incorporate the use of a moisture content such as or similar to ones used in Czech lumber? Is there a chance you could incorporate the use of a moisture content? I'm not sure what that means, Fred. Moisture content. Maybe I'm missing a word in there. Such as similar to Czech lumber. Oh, you mean like to see what the moisture level is inside like the substrate or the frass? That could be an interesting idea. A meter, yeah. I've never tried that. I don't know what it would take to get a reading off of those. Like with lumber, I think I've seen them too for home inspectors or people that are checking for water damage. They poke it into the drywall, right? And it'll tell you what the moisture content is. I wonder how hard the surface or the thing is that needs to be for that thing to register. I don't have one handy. But if anyone has one and wants to tinker around with that could be really interesting. To be able to see the moisture within a certain bin. I like that idea, Fred. Welcome to the new folks. If anybody has any questions or concerns about mealworms, mealworm farming, small business, anything like that, let me know. I can go do a quick tour of the rearing room or see anything else. I would say it's better less or no moisture than to leave too much. Mealworms will thrive not that they have enough food. Yes, 100%. Definitely want to be more concerned about too much moisture than too little. It's crazy how long they'll live, right? Like I had a unfortunate scenario where somebody couldn't pick up their mealworms that got delivered, and so they were returned back to me. And they went, so I shipped those on a Monday. They went, hung out at the post office for a couple of weeks, and then came back to me. So it was 2.5, almost 3 weeks that they were out. Opened the bag up, and they were just fine. So those guys can heat is a big killer, but they can go for a while without direct moisture, which is pretty cool. There are cheap moisture meters for gardeners. I have one, so we'll check and see what it indicates and let you know. Awesome! Thank you, Sue. That's going to be interesting. Would like to see a pupa tray, please, sir. You got it, Joan. Let's head into the insect room. I'll turn this around so you guys don't have to look at my beautiful mug. We'll take a look at the building. Frass dispenser. I'm out of frass boxes. I'm going to need to use that here pretty soon. Anywho. Da-da-da. All right. It is very quiet in here. I turned off all the fans and everything. So the noise, if anybody is into ASMR, let's just wonderful. All right, so we're looking for a pupa tray for Joan. Here we are. So let me grab one of these and get some better light. This is a waiting to be done. So you can see here there's no substrate in there. Let me grab one that's got substrate that's really ready. There we go. All right. So the way that we do it here, we collect these pupa with the pupa sifter. I'm not sure if you guys saw that video recently. I posted to the group and my page, but we collect the pupa using the Space Coast Mealworms pupa sifter, and then we just pour a single layer of pupa on top of bran. And so this bran, it's not very deep. You can see the bottom of the tray there. Some of those people would like to wiggle down in there, but it's a single layer of pupa, and then we lay on these paper towels. And so the paper towels just get laid right on top, right like this, and they just sit there. And so we will, you can see some of the water gel crystals I gave earlier, just sprinkle those in so those beetles have something to eat or drink if they're thirsty. And then 3 times a week, we'll take every single one of these and we'll just gently shake this off into a big bucket and basically collect all the fresh beetles. And so what you can see is you've already got some beetles in here that have turned black. So part of the downside of this system is you're not going to get every beetle. So see, as I take this back, it does have a lot there, but there's still beetles there. You're not going to get every beetle. However, it's a time versus labor sort of equation there. So this is what we find works really well for us. So hopefully that helps, Joan. Okay. I'm just going to pan back here and read some of the other comments. It's all that gray hair you have that's scary. Thanks, Fred. I started getting that when I was 18. Genetics, man, genetics. Oh, I just saw a question. What's the purpose of the bran in the pupa bin? Sue, I just find that they seem to thrive better. So I've tried this method with no bran, and it just didn't seem to work as well. I felt like there was a lot more die-off. I can try it without bran. I mean, we've got a tray here, might as well see what happens, but I can collect all these beetles that are already on here before they start getting to hatching real good in here and see. But it just seems like it helps out with the collection. Now, I wonder if it's different. We started doing this in the old building with the white trays. I wonder if these are better since there's more air movement. I wonder if we don't need the bran anymore. So it'd be worth a shot just to see what happens there. Jonathan Morales. Last name, any relation to Juan Ramos Morales? Curious. Do you know if mites are harmful to mealworms or the eggs? Yes, they will eventually kill the mealworms and the eggs. So definitely something you want to get under control if you have an outbreak. Thank you for that question. Any reason for not using egg cartons instead of paper towels? Yes. Let me see if I can find an egg carton. Oh man, I thought I had a couple somewhere over here. Ah, there's one. Here we go. So what I don't like about the egg cartons, I need 2 hands here, are these points here. So if this is upside down, all that pressure from the egg carton is going to be right on top of here, and that just crushes the whatever's underneath it. The pupa aren't super dense isn't the right word. They can't stand up to that, basically. And then if you flip it over, you still have those spots on the bottom. So they'll work. I mean, the beetles will cling onto those, but I find that these points generally tend to crush the larva. So I haven't been using those. Does it hurt to put the new beetles in with black beetles? Skipper, no. So, like, one of the things that we do here is beetle reclamation. I just came up with that about a week ago. I haven't posted the video to YouTube, but this is an old pupa bin, right? So you can see all the dead pupa that didn't make it for whatever reason. And then we've got all these beetles in here that have been around probably for up to 3 to 4 weeks, potentially. And so these can't go into a fresh bin and have the 8-week count that we normally use. And I don't sell these because I can't guarantee you that these are fresh, right? And so what I'll do is I'll separate out the beetles from the bran, and unfortunately I also get the dead stuff, and then I'll collect as many of the beetles as I can and just put them in a bin by themselves. They still have a good 4 weeks of egg laying left, and so we do some reclamation there just to keep things going. Paul, what do you do with the eggs laid in the pupa trays? That's what this does, right? So part of the reclamation process is after we separate the beetles and the pupa out of here, we take the bran that's egg laden, and then the bottom of this tray is going to be covered as well. And we'll put the bran back in, and then we'll put some extra bran in, and then we've got a tray of eggs right there. Lots of questions, guys. Thank you. What kind of trays are those? Skipper, these are Beacon Camp trays from the Netherlands. Beekenen. Sorry, there's no O in there. I was thinking Beekenkamp. They are mealworm rearing trays. I'm looking at buying a shipping container full of these. They're pretty expensive. I think it's going to be upwards of $25,000 to $30,000 for a shipping container full. So, lots to think about there. Are the sheddings beneficial for anything? Karen, I think you mean the exoskeleton sheddings, right? So that's a really good question. I actually just posted that recently on LinkedIn to see if anybody smarter than me had any ideas. I fully believe, so this is some of the some of the exoskeletons that we got and can continuously collect. I firmly believe that there's chitin in here and who knows what else. So I'd like to get it analyzed and then better understand it, and then compare that to like the frass chitin, and maybe there's a potential option in there for somebody to utilize that. Sue, on the pupa, yes, the bran could suck some of that moisture out. That's an interesting observation. I'm gonna have to I'll see how that tray does without any bran in it. Egg cartons, a lot more difficult to get the beetles out of them compared to just shaking paper towels. Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. Like, it's more oomph to try to shake them off. And those young ones, like the white ones, when they first hatch, they're super prone to, getting bent basically, or getting hurt because they're not hardened up yet. So let me see if I can find an example of one of those in here. There's a couple. They're not white. These guys came out maybe 12 or 24 hours ago. But yeah, that's going to put a beating on them if you have to shake it a lot harder. Paper towel idea is great. Jonathan from Ecuador. Yeah, fair enough. Sheddings, paper towel. Sorry, the scrolling here is pretty bad. We should get a few people together to go in on a bunch of trays. Blake, message me. That's actually one of the things I'm thinking about, almost like a crowdfunding type thing where I might order them and then have them available. It has crossed my mind. So message me on Facebook or email me, justin@midwestmealworms.com. Paul. I've always used egg cartons. I give paper towel a go. Yeah, maybe I wonder what, if Paul, that would be better. Like, one of the things, sorry, I'm spinning real fast here, back to the pupa. One of the things I'm curious about from a die-off perspective is, does the paper towel like restrict airflow at all? Like, maybe the egg carton is better because it allows more air movement underneath. I don't know. Well, I'm going to see how this does without any bran, and I'll go from there. Chickens love that stuff. Absolutely. Chickens will go bonkers over any type of insect stuff. The sheds are great for gardeners and soil amendments. I do a lot of plant propagation, use it in that way. Of course, the frass is fertilizer both in soil and as a tea. Yes. Sue, one of the things I've heard about from the cannabis growing community, they really like frass, and then I'm really interested to know the chemical makeup of the actual exoskeletons, because I'm wondering what impact this has. I had a conversation with somebody who grows. I wonder what impact this has on the terpenes and the profile for the actual plants as they're grown. So, just some food for thought. Is that what's called chitlin? No, Lillian, chitin. Chitin. Chitlin is isn't that pork rinds? I think so. Felicia, yes, those are the trays. I was lucky enough to get mine. So all the blue trays you see here, I was lucky enough to get those from a company in Texas that raised mealworms for about 3 years, changed their business model. They wanted to go more into the protein food perspective of insects, and so they liquidated all of their rearing equipment. And so I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to buy these trays. Before that, you can see those white trays there. So those are the white dough proofing trays that we've posted about a lot in the group. Those are dough proofing trays from webstrontstore.com. That's the source I used, etc. Exoskeletons make plants stronger. Isopods eat the skeleton. Oh, interesting. So we could raise isopods and feed them that, right? Interesting. Interesting. I like this. All right. If there's anything else you guys want to see in here, just let me know. We've got a bunch of folks in there. So let me turn this back around again. For those of you that joined after the earlier conversations, if you guys have any questions about mealworms, please feel free to ask those. I'm Justin. I'm one of the admins in the co-op group, along with Max and Scott. And this is my insect farm. So I've got mealworms. Those are all mealworms over there. And then back in that back corner is the superworm colony, starting to expand that, get the beetles going there. Been posting about the pupation process for those guys. But yeah, we just moved in here about a month ago. I got the insects in. So away we go. All right, I need some water. So I'm going to turn this back around. So you don't see all that gray hair. Ha ha ha, right? My neighbor put a little tent up over there to let it dry out a little bit. All right, let's come back in here and get some water. Oops, sorry about that. One of the fun side effects of being live. You get all the unedited, oops. I left my pen somewhere. That's gonna bother me. It's all right. It's somewhere in the building, so the only person that could have taken it was me. All right. If anyone has posted a question or a comment and it hasn't been addressed, please let me know. Message me or something. Every now and then Facebook hides those from me for some reason. I don't get to see them. So. Blake, I see that. How many square feet are you working with now? So the total building square footage is 2,100. The insect specific room that we were just in is 1,100. The outside portion, the office here, you can see the insulation here. Oh, the air conditioner just kicked on. Let me jump out of here. It's pretty loud. The office here is insulated, and then the outside area here currently is not insulated. Long-term plan is to get that insulated though, so that all 2,100 square feet are temperature and humidity controlled. Do you know if frass can be diluted in water for use? It's a kind of hydroponics for vegetables. Yes, you can make a compost tea out of it, or a tea. So just let your frass soak either in like a tea bag type scenario, or just pour it in and stir it around. But you don't want to insert that directly into your aquaponics or hydroponics because the frass is not 100% soluble. It's not 100% water soluble. So what that means is you're going to have sediment somewhere. And what I usually do is I'll usually put some in a container, add water, and then just let it soak for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can also put a bubbler in it and bubble it, right, like normal compost tea to increase the microbiology that's in there. But you can definitely then take that water and use that in a hydroponic system. I just don't think you want that sediment going through there, though. What size are those blue breeding trays? Try to find out how many you can put on a container. I can check shipping. They are 400 centimeters by 400 centimeters by 600 centimeters by 145 centimeters tall. The company, I'm in direct contact with them. They can fit 1,870 into one shipping container, and then ship that whole container over here. So I think the shipping cost was 12 or 15,000 USD, and it's their company deals in euros, so there's always the translation. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my words today. Glad you talked about oxygen deprivation. Yeah, Paul, hey, cheers. Awesome. Hey, no worries. Have a good night. Thank you, Paul. Fred, glad you talked about oxygen deprivation. Yeah, it was one of those things I never really thought about it until I was talking with somebody who was very concerned about my setup because I didn't have, like right now I've got an exhaust fan that runs at specific intervals to push air out, right? And then there's intakes to let fresh air in. And I didn't have that in the old farm for a while, and somebody reached out and said, you might not have the growth that you're looking for because they're not breathing. And that would cause us to not breathe very well either. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Conversion, yes, thank you, Felicia. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Exchange rate, yes, perfect. Yeah, the exchange rate from USD to euros. Awesome. What time is it? I'm totally losing track. It is 2:37. We are good to go through the top of the hour, which will be 3 o'clock here local time. If we get in a groove, then we can keep going. Otherwise, I'm going to split and do some sifting. I may just decide to do that tonight instead, so I don't get too far into it. I got to be somewhere this afternoon. I scored a bag of slightly ripe bananas this week, so tried those in the bins. Peels were a hit, but the chunks were hit or miss. They also tended to dive to the bottom of the bin, so I was having to sift to find them since they tended to keep ripening and wanted to avoid that whole mess. That's interesting. What's in the peel that's not in the actual banana fruit itself? Is there some sort of nutrient that's in the peel but not the banana? Moisture content might be higher. I've done the banana peels, but I can't say I've actually done the banana itself. So that's an interesting observation. It's a good use of food waste as well, right? Because you know those overripe bananas everybody makes muffins out of and then puts in the fridge and then throws away a week later, right? Just put those things in a mealworm bin. I scored some pineapple from a local place in town. The mealworms didn't enjoy it very much. They did not eat, I'm assuming because it's real acidic, but the beetles, both the superworm beetles and the mealworm beetles really liked it. So I need to talk with the folks that had it and see if I can get some more of that. I think the peel has higher potassium. I think that's a good guess. The worms took the peels clear down to just the dry skin. Damn. Sorry. Too bad it doesn't take as good. Pen. Yeah. That is unfortunate. One of the things that I am looking at doing is building a way for our small folks to operationalize using food waste. Because one of the issues, I posted about it recently, I'm on a 30-acre organic farm. My neighbor runs the garden and the farm over there, and I'm running the mealworm business separately. But he's got a product line of sauerkraut, cold fermented sauerkraut. If you guys have never had cold fermented sauerkraut, please try it. It's amazing. Like the stuff you get in the stores has been pasteurized and cooked, and it's like limp and ugh. The fresh stuff that's cold fermented, one, it's got all the probiotics in it because you don't have to kill all that stuff, and two, it's crunchy and delicious. So anyway, they have a bunch of food waste left over, and they brought that over. And it wasn't cabbage. It was somebody corrected me on the post. Oh shoot, kohlrabi it might have been, but it had bugs all over it because it's an organic farm. So I put it in the deep freeze, and Oddly enough, the mealworms ate it. I took it out of the deep freeze. I made a video for everybody. I took it out of the deep freeze, walked it right in there and put it in. Boom, they were on it. Drove, like just flocked to it. So I'm curious to see, like, for the food waste that you were able to get a hold of, Sue, like, you might not have been able to use it all. Throw that stuff in the deep freeze, maybe chop it up. Like the bananas, you might, like either peel and chop or something. Knowing now that they don't really eat the banana, I'd probably separate it, the peel and the banana, and then do a rough chop or something and throw that in the freezer. And then when it's been frozen for 2 days, everything's dead potentially on it. That was potentially on it. Take it in and feed it to the farm. So I'm going to try to test out some more food options and get some more food waste, because there are times where I might get a bunch of it and I can't use it right away. And so if we can find a way to, with a simple deep freeze, not anything big, not an industrial deep freeze, right? Something that everybody can get access to, we might be able to put a little system together that works well. Too bad it doesn't taste good. Gotcha. Yes. Yeah, bananas are good. Which way do you guys open your banana? Stem end or the other end? Just curious. Maybe I'll make a poll out of that. No, I don't want to break the live. All right. I don't know why I keep clicking this thing, because it doesn't work. It's one of those pens with the end that the phone can feel. All right. Sue, I just walked into Safeway and talked to the produce manager. They said they compost their waste, but walked into the back and brought out 3 big bags full. Wow. Some was parsley, which was not the mealworms fave. Gonna try a red pepper. I think they'll eat the red pepper. Red bell pepper? I'm not so sure about spicy things. I don't know if I've ever tried spicy things. I know I've tried the bell peppers before. They'll eat those. Talking to grocery stores is getting, or has been actually, I've tried it a few times, kind of difficult. They are very lawsuit averse. There's a grocery store chain, there's one in town here. We have a small town, only about 3,700 people, so there's only one grocery store. And walked in and talked to them, and they said they used to give all their food waste to a pig farmer. And then that pig farmer sued them because all his pigs died. So now they don't give away food waste. That's a bummer. What do you use to disinfect the fresh food, vegetables, and fruits to your mealworms? So, Jonathan, this is an awesome question. So to disinfect them, I just put them in a deep freeze. I started doing that 2 weeks ago. I think it was the first time I did that. I'm trying to get much more serious about controlling what goes through that door, because I don't want anything that shouldn't be in there, right, from an insect perspective. And so what I found on the kohlrabi that was given to me is that it had a lot of bugs because it came from an organic farm. So that's the one thing, that if you can source organic and ask questions about what organic is for the person you're acquiring it from, then putting it in a deep freeze is really all you need to do. Otherwise, I'd be really concerned about pesticides, herbicides, all that fun stuff getting into the insects, potentially harming them. If you're not sure of the source you're getting it from, try a small piece of whatever it is you've sourced with an amount of mealworms that you are comfortable, if they were to die, all of them, you'd be comfortable losing them, right? So if you've got an order coming in and you can't let any of those die because then you wouldn't be able to fill the order, then don't test, right? Just wait. But treat it as if every one of those mealworms that you feed that new thing to is going to die. And hopefully they don't, but every now and then something gets in there that isn't good for them. What do you use to heat up and cool down temperature, kind of AC, and how much powerful it must be? So 100% dependent on the size of your building and the insulation, but let me show you what we're using right now. So from a cooling perspective, we just hit summer in mid-Missouri, so we are in the cooling mode. And right now we've got that wall AC unit. It's actually a window unit. I want to say it's 14,000 BTU. Oh, I don't see the plaque on it. I think it's 14,000 BTU. I got it a little bit bigger than, or more powerful for the square footage that I'm in, because these insects will generate heat, right? And so as these guys are generating heat, that needs to be cooled down. that'll come in handy in the wintertime, right? In the wintertime, from a heat perspective, what I'm thinking about doing is, you can see this panel right there. There's actually an electric outlet, I guess you could call it, electric access up there. My plan is to get like a garage heater, because that should be sufficient for this square footage with this insulation. But I don't need it just yet. But I did, for the longest time in the old farm, which was only about 500 square feet, 450 square feet, with the insulation that I had, I just used a little tiny electric heater. Because the insects generate heat. So I would start with less and then add as you need to, but you'd be surprised. If you have good insulation, you can really reduce the amount of stuff you're going to need. Skipper. Hey, really appreciate that. Thanks for jumping on. Hope to see you again in here soon. Blake, yes. Yes, I have eaten mealworms. They have a nutty flavor. I've only eaten dried mealworms. I've not eaten them live. I don't know about that. But yes, dried mealworms. I did it a couple times. I did it once, just a baseline, and then I fed nothing but garlic powder. I put them in a bait cup with just garlic powder. So that's what they ate. And then took that away from them, let them get rid of all of what was in their gut for the next three days, and then dehydrated them, and they had a mild garlic flavor. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't mind them. I think that from a U.S. perspective, I feel like just the culture is not going to be very insect adopting, in the sense of eating an entire insect. And what I mean by that is, when you dehydrate the mealworm, it's still in a mealworm shape, right? It's dry, but it's still a mealworm-looking creature. Same thing with other dehydrated, like you see crickets inside of lollipops and stuff. I don't see that becoming mainstream at all. What I see happening is the feed industry for animals is going to adopt it in the long term, because it's going to be more economical for them to use insect protein. So they'll turn it into a powder and then integrate it into a feed in some way or form. And then that will transition into human food. So Doritos, which is part of PepsiCo, they actually did a test run at some point on a small batch of Doritos with insect protein instead of soy protein. Made a Dorito. It was fine. Taste tested great. Nobody was like, this has mealworms in it. This is disgusting. Because they didn't know what they were eating. U.S. consumers just don't care. And so I think what will happen is people will take insect protein, like protein shakes. It'll start to substitute in, like the cheaper fast food joints that have soy in their burgers. They're going to put insect protein in instead. That's what I think is going to happen. Froze here. Keith, hopefully I'm back, Keith. How do you dehydrate them? I have an industrial dehydrator, or it's a microwave dehydrator that's specific to dehydrating insects. You can also put them in an oven and dehydrate them like anything else. The lowest temperature your oven can go, and a single layer, and put them in there. A lot of times they'll turn kind of a black. It's very off-putting. It looks like they're not good, like they've been burnt or something. But that's not the case. They're still just fine to eat. Salty ones made a pretty good snack, kind of like pork rinds. The live ones were good, except the tough exoskeleton. Yeah, the texture would be interesting. I like textury differences in things, like ice cream that has chunks of stuff in it. I really like that. I like the feel of it. So maybe live mealworms would be my thing. I can see ground mealworms being used as a flour. Yes, they'll be integrated into different cooking items as well as flour. Absolutely. And whatever insect it is, like there's the cricket folks, there's the mealworm folks. For a while, I saw a bunch of superworm posts being the next big thing. I think it's going to be all of them, honestly. And they'll have their different uses. We'll find some specific niche things to do with mealworms that crickets can't do, that sort of thing. I really see that being the direction we're headed in. All right, we have got 10 minutes left, so if you guys have anything that you want to see, any questions you've got, please let me know. I've got, let me go check my board. We'll go take a look at it together. So let's see, we are there, right? Yeah. Superworm beetle swap. Totally forgot about that. Thank you, calendar. Hydrate, freeze brand tomorrow. Yep. So I've got that. I've got some. These are our weekly tasks, and so you can see every like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is hydration. HYD, hydrate. Fresh beetle collection is up there, and I'm trying to get in a better schedule with the superworms, with the beetle swap. I don't know if I'm going to get to that this week. I'm probably going to have to push that to Monday, Tuesday next week, with Ben and Leo both being out. So yes, family is greater than mealworms. That's my motto. That's what I tell to the guys whenever they have questions or concerns about, coming out versus going and doing something. Family always comes first. Yep. There's our weekly schedule for last week. I didn't update this. I got to get better at that. And then the to-do list, which will never go away. But this is the life I chose. I love it. You are welcome, Mealworms Are Us. I appreciate it. I'm just a mealworm farmer. I'm a regular guy. Ta-ta-ta. I need a drink. Go over to Facebook. Oops, sorry. Fred, what do you mean by that? I'm gonna jump in here and get a drink real quick. Try to get the computer up and going. Well, let me get back here. All right. Have a good rest of your day, man. Hopping off. Thank you, Blake. Thanks for coming in. Got to run. Karen, good to see you. Keep us posted on the farm. Yep, we've only got 7 minutes left here. That's back to working. Back to working. Let's see. All invoices have been sent out. Well, that's good to go. Yeah, the office work fund is not as fun as people make it out to be. But it is what it is. Man, I'm getting some good feedback now from people. There were some folks last week that were super frustrated about the heat and the post office, and it was starting to wear on me a little, but it's all right. You try superworms. Any recipe, maybe? I have not tried superworms yet. Once I feel like I don't want to say mastered them. Once I am much more confident in raising them, then I might start eating them. But right now I'm just so hesitant to almost waste them because I'm really struggling with the supers. Once they get going, it feels like the beetles die off. The larvae don't do well. I just haven't figured them out yet. So maybe once I get that rolling, I'll feel better about grabbing some for my own personal use. I have to go. Thanks again. Thank you, Lillian. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hopefully things start to ramp up with all the extra mealworms that we've got here. right. Well, if anybody has any last minute questions, please feel free to throw those out. This was recorded. Facebook records it automatically and posts it. So if anything was confusing or if I went over anything too fast, please feel free to watch the recording. It'll post once Facebook does a little bit of analysis on it, probably to make sure we're not doing anything bad. They'll post it to the group. And it'll be out there and available. So please feel free to comment on there. Just know that once it's posted, it's no longer live in real time. So I won't be able to immediately reply like we are right now. I had a couple people last week that put some comments in that were answering things like, "Yep, the audio's good." So I got a smile out of that. I liked it. It's really, oh, sorry, didn't mean to cover the camera there. It's interesting that it won't let me see you guys, but the first, I can see 5 icons and then things change around. That's all right, I'll get used to it. All right. Let me go ahead and put this back to sleep. All done there. Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up then. Thank you guys so much for jumping on, all the really good questions. Really appreciate it. This will post out to the group, and I'll do another one of these each week. That's my goal, is to do one a week. Even with the holiday stuff next week, still try to get some time in. So if you guys have any questions, anything you want to chat about, if you want to save it for that, that's fine. Otherwise, feel free to ask in the group. Community's there to help out and keep things rolling. And if there's anything I can do to help, please just let me know. Leave a comment here, message me. Send me an email, justin@midwestmealworms.com. Anything you guys need, just let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon, evening, good morning.